Hey guys, it is August Young here, Doc Sports, and we're going to cover every single college football game for Saturday, October 19th. Something a little different, but I'm going to cover every single game. Going to do a quick fire rundown. Going to have timestamps below as well in the description, in the time bar there. So feel free to skip forward, go to any game that you're interested in. If this does get enough attention and guys like this, I can get these done earlier in the week too to give you guys more time to act. I'm just recording this on Friday, so the lines have settled somewhat. But let's dive into this. So we're going to kick things off with rotation 3-2-3 UCF at Iowa State. Now, Iowa State, they're laying 13.5 here, total at 50. I know sharp groups on both sides, but it's still telling that this hasn't touched 14 yet. Goes hand in hand with where I lean on this one. Both teams trending in different directions. You got ISU. They're 6-0 straight up on the season, including 5-1 ATS. Look at UCF. They started 3-0 against the spread and straight up, but they've lost 3 straight since, all as the favorite. However, to me, that is a buy low indicator. UCF has good surface metrics, and it's all about snagging value. Could really go either way here, but I personally do see value on UCF at plus 13.5. I would love a plus 14 though, but it doesn't look like we're going to get it. Next game, 3-2-5, Wake Forest, 3-2-6, Connecticut. Connecticut laying 1.5 or 2, depending where you look, total at 55.5. Now this opened with UConn as dogs. The money has come in on them though, pushing them out to the favorite. Feels like a coin flip game to me. UConn, they do have the benefit of coming off the bye week. They were humming along prior to last week, eking out the win over Temple. There, though, as 17.5 point favorites. The market loves surface metrics on UConn, but Wake, they've played the much tougher strength of schedule. I lean Wake on the money line as dogs here. Now let's get to the next one. East Carolina at Army, rotation 3-2-7, 3-2-8. Army laying 16.5, the total at 51. Trends love ECU, as does the market. This opened 18.5, has been bet down. Obviously, now we're somewhat through the key number of 17. I still feel like there's value of East Carolina, especially when you factor in the Army is 6-0 against the spread. Gotta think you're paying a premium for that. Historic data does back it up. However, I will say Army they do have outstanding offensive statistics, ranking inside the top 10 in yards per play and points per game margins. Regardless, lean with ECU at 16.5 here, plus 16.5 with the market shift on Army. Going to get to the next one, James Madison 3-2-9 against 3-3-0 Georgia Southern. Line here has James Madison as 10-point favorites, total at 59. They're taking a little money, this open 9. They're the better team when we look at the numbers. I really don't have a strong take on this one, but I do believe JMU, they have more weapons, should be able to take advantage down the stretch. I lean with them if you can pick up a minus 9.5. There are still a few out there, so free lean will be 9.5 minus on James Madison. 3-3-1 Miami, Florida, 3-3-2 Louisville. Miami, Florida laying 5. This did open at 3 with a total at 61. Seeing some known bettors out there like in Louisville. I got to say I disagree. The market has this right in my opinion. It's not a good situational spot for them. They're versus the best offense in the nation that are coming off a bye with the extra prep time. Kane's averaging more than 8 yards per play this season, close to 600 yards per game. This is a short number versus Louisville that have not looked good the last few weeks. Failed to cover in 3 straight. Don't see how they stop Miami, Florida moving the ball downfield. Still like value here at minus 5 on Miami. 3-3-3 Ohio, 3-3-4 Miami, Ohio. So Miami, Ohio laying 3.5 or 4, total at 44. We have a solid trend that likes Ohio, which is basically conference underdogs with a low total. Some other parameters in there. It's been highly profitable historically. They're sneaky good for a team that is 2-4 straight up and against the spread. Their strength of schedule has not done them any favors, which includes early season games versus Notre Dame and Cincinnati. I lean with them here though at plus 4, especially at some of the more recreational books, considering we do have some sharp books taking that 4 down. We've seen some sharp buyback at 4, some sharp out. So plus 4 here. That's where I'm looking. 3-3-5, 3-3-6. We have Tulsa and Temple. Temple minus 3 here with a total of 52.5. This opened a pick 'em off screen, but was publicly available closer to 2.5. To me, this feels like a complete coin flip. So at plus 3, I believe there's value on the Tulsa side. Neither team has impressed me. Both negative yards per play margins on the season. I'll take the dog. 3-3-7, 3-3-8. We have Western Michigan and Buffalo. Western Michigan laying a point here with a total of 49. Buffalo getting too much respect in this game after winning 2 of their last 3 as double-digit dogs. However, last week, Toledo shot themselves in the foot. Live ball turnovers on downs. Buffalo were outplayed in that game, but does not show on the score column. Western Michigan are the rightful favorites, and a -1, slight juice here. I do see value. Take the money line -1 either way. 339, 340. Kentucky, Florida. Big game for these teams. Kentucky laying 1.5, total sitting at 41.5. Both these teams are 3-3. Kentucky 4-2 ATS, with Florida 3-3 against the spread. UK, man, they have an elite defense. We tend to lean towards teams with elite defenses in these big games. They rank 3rd in opponent yards per game, 30th in opponent's yards per play. They're also ranked 10th in opponent's punts per game. It's a stat I love. Sharp action's been on Kentucky as well. We'll take them here at anything below a field goal. 3-4-1, 3-4-2, Texas State, Old Dominion. 4-unit premium selection on this game. I will not be covering it here. If you don't access that play though, and my entire football card, which does include a 7-unit best bet on Sunday, there is a free $60 available if you check the link in the description. If you're not already a client of Doc Sports, that free $60 account is yours, gets parked directly in your account, no obligation, and you can use that to get my premium card absolutely free. So check out that link. So let's get to the next one. 3-4-3 Charlotte, 3-4-4 Navy. Navy laying 16 here with a total of 57. Trends like Charlotte, I'm not too sure. Navy off a bye have an enormous edge when it comes to the stats. They have a huge 2.1 yard per play margin on the season. Charlotte, they're in the negative. Their new offensive scheme has looked impressive. I'm not sure Charlotte can stop them moving the ball down the field. Not huge on this, but I do lean Navy at 16. 3-4-5, 3-4-6, Alabama against Tennessee. Alabama laying -3, the total at 57.5. I know respected groups that love Alabama here. Hard to fault them. Both have had a weird couple of weeks, though. Expect them both to get back to their usual stuff in this one. There is an argument for this being a long look ahead for both of these two teams. They were 4-0 before the stumbles. Both now sitting 5-1. Both could have lost last week again. Alabama have an explosive offense, led by Jalen Milroe, of course. There's an offense that the Vols haven't seen yet, despite their good numbers. I think the money's coming on the right team. I lean with Alabama myself at a field goal or less, so we'll take Alabama -3. 3-4-7 Notre Dame, 3-4-8 Georgia Tech. Notre Dame 12-point favorites, total at 51. Had a weird reaction into the market for this game. Sources were showing Georgia Tech will be without Haynes King. That news came out and the market didn't move for a while. I did snag some Notre Dame at 10. And then just before recording this, there was a big push up to the price of -12. I've got to take Notre Dame here. Anything below 2 touchdowns. Elite defense versus a backup quarterback. Notre Dame -12. UL Lafayette against Coastal Carolina, 349, 350. Louisiana laying 4.5, total at 56.5. This line's bounce around a lot, but we show value on the occasions based on our numbers. They're also the better team when looking at raw numbers. Coastal getting the bump in the market due to that extra prep time. Regardless, I'll take Lafayette here at 4.5. 3-5-1, 3-5-2 Central Michigan against Eastern Michigan. CMU will be without their starting quarterback here. Has an arm injury, and the reason we're seeing Eastern Michigan laying 3, total of 54.5. Central Michigan are the better team as a whole. These quarterback situations are often overblown, in my opinion, especially at the collegiate level. Happy to take a stab on them as field goal underdogs here. 3-5-3, 3-5-4 Virginia and Clemson. Clemson laying 21 here with a total at 57.5. We cashed in Clemson last week, actually, versus Wake. They looked awful in their first game, losing that opening game to UGA, but since then they have knuckled down. 5 straight wins, 4-1 against the spread in that span. Offense looks almost unstoppable, ranking in the top 20 in a variety of important predictive metrics. They've averaged an absurd 48.6 points per game their last 5. UVA, they're better this season than in years past, but still feels like a tall task here. It's going to be Clemson for me at 21. 3-5-5, 3-5-6, we have Arizona State, Cincinnati. Cincinnati laying 5.5 here with the total at 51. This opened below a field goal, but Arizona State going to be without their starting quarterback, Leavitt. They're the better team, though. They are the better team. They're an impressive 5-1 against the spread, covering most games with relative ease. We always like to fade the quarterback overreaction anyway, as mentioned earlier. Why not doing the same here based on our numbers as a whole? We have a trend also backing it up that likes Arizona State. So we're going to take Arizona State plus 5.5 for the free lean. 3-5-7 Kansas State, 3-5-8 West Virginia. Kansas State laying 2.5, the total at 56.5. Feels like a tough spot for them here based on travel situation. They've bounced around with the home road splits all season, now being their first back-to-back road game. That kind of thing starts to take a toll, and the public love them below a field goal, I'm sure. But the public also failed to take into account these and consider such spots like I mentioned with the travel. West Virginia is the play for me at +2.5 and on the money line. They've been undervalued from the poor showing last week versus Iowa State, but I like them here. 359 North, Texas 360 Memphis. Memphis -12, total at a huge 68.5. UNT are 5-1 to the over this season, but Memphis have solid defense based on the numbers. They're allowing just 15.8 points per game. Now, Navy did hang 56 on them. UNT can score the ball. Public action seems to be on the under, but I'm going to roll with the over. I'm going to take the over for a small lean. I'm not super confident in it. My numbers are close, but sometimes you do get a gut feeling for these kinds of things after being involved in the industry for such a long time. So for me, I'm going to take the over. Now, 361, 362 Baylor, Texas Tech. Texas Tech -4.5, total at 55.5. Insane winds expected here, somewhere in the region of 18 miles per hour by kickoff. Now, for what it's worth, since 2005, anytime we've had 15 mile per hour winds or higher, the under is hitting at a 57.3% rate. However, both teams are coming off a bye here, which statistically has shown to help offensive production. Lean on the side would be Baylor at 4.5, but we're going to ride the under trend with that weather. There is also rain expected too. 55.5 is just a huge number based on that situation. Value on the under, 363, 364. Kent State, Bowling Green. Now, Bowling Green laying 21 with a total at 54. Big number, I feel, but I guess it makes sense when you have a Kent State team that are 0-6 straight up. Having said that, they did get their first cover last week versus Ball State. Not really deserved, but there you go. I did see that they have averaged close to 35 points per game in MAC play. Talking about buying low here, but I do show value on them, so let's take Kent State at +21. Now, 365 South Carolina, 366 Oklahoma. Now, South Carolina either laying one here or getting a 1.5. Rare to see a split like that across the market. Total at 42. Both teams need a win if they want to make a bowl appearance. Both with really tough strength of schedules on the season. This game doesn't make that any easier. I do think South Carolina are the slightly better team. They've proven a little more based on numbers. The fact some sharp books are selling them as juice, we can grab a +1.5 at some recreational spots. Seems like value. Seems telling to me, so value at +1.5 there. 367 Toledo, 368 Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois -3, total of 44. Big game for MAC championship aspirations. To me, this is a complete coin flip. My numbers show as much for that reason. Can only look at the dog side at a field goal, so we'll take Toledo at +3. They also fit the low total conference dog trend that I mentioned earlier, so there's that as well. 369, 370 UAB, South Florida. Now, South Florida -13.5 with a total at 57.5. This is a trend we follow here that likes UAB, but my numbers do like South Florida. Below 2 touchdowns. Hard laying big prices with the team that are 2-4 straight up, but they have played the much tougher strength of schedule. They played Memphis, Miami, and of course Alabama. It's also worth noting that both these teams will be potentially without their starting quarterbacks, and that does benefit South Florida based on what we've seen from the UAB backup and the coaching advantages with South Florida. Small lean at -13.5. Now 371, 372 UCLA and Rutgers. UCLA almost made it as a premium selection for me, guys. They're getting 4.5 points with a total of 41. Have a ton of key indicators and trends that like them, but the line did fall from 7 to the current price of 4.5. Hard to get involved with that much value loss, but I do still lean that way. Look, Rutgers have failed to score more than a touchdown in 2 straight games, and UCLA can be somewhat forgiven for their 1-5 record when you consider their horrific strength of schedule, which ranks number 1 in the nation. They're playing teams tough though, really tough. They could be exhausted for this one, which is concerning. Time will tell, but I do lean with them here at +4.5. Now 373, 374 USC Maryland. USC laying 7.5 with a total at 56.5. We cashed in fading on Maryland last time out versus Northwestern. They put a beat down on Maryland. They lost 2 straight now, both straight up against the spread. USC have all the tools to continue that trend. They put up a real fight last week versus Penn State. Would have been a big win for them. They'll be massively motivated in this one after losing 3 of their last 4. Quite a tough travel spot though, but there's still some small value based on my numbers. But at -7 that is, which is available at some spots, I would pass at the 7.5. Now 375, 376, we have Michigan and Illinois. Michigan -4 here with a total at 44. Have some key trends on the Michigan side, and they're also coming off a bye. Illinois likely getting too much respect here due to the fact that they're 5-1 straight up, but they looked horrific on the defensive side of the ball last week versus Purdue. I wouldn't be shocked to see Michigan carve them up at times. Should be able to create time in the pocket with that pass protection. I lean with them here at -4. Now, 377, 378, we have Wisconsin, Northwestern. 3-unit premium selection for me on this one, so I'll not be covering the game. And as I mentioned earlier, if you want access to that play in my entire football card, including my 7-unit best bet, which goes Sunday, check the link in the description. There is a free $60 there, which if you're not a client of Doc Sports, absolutely free $60 parked in a new member account, completely free. And you can get my entire football picks premium this weekend, absolutely free, coming off the 6-unit winner for Thursday Night Football in the NFL. Easy winner with Denver. So that free $60 is there in the description. Now, 379, 380, New Mexico, Utah State. New Mexico laying a point with that total at 77.5. Astronomically high number. For what it's worth, in database history, favorites with totals above 75 are covering at a 54% clip. Makes sense for a variety of reasons. Both teams can score. Both teams can actually score the best of them, but they also can defend with the worst of them. Utah State played the toughest strength of schedule. We like the matchup for New Mexico. Think they outgunned down the stretch in what should probably be a shootout. Think safe to assume with that high total. 381, 382, TCU and Utah. Utah laying 3.5 with a total at 50. Solid trend supporting TCU side, but my numbers lean Utah. TCU do have the extra prep time for this one off the bye, but they've struggled a lot this season. 105 ATS and failing to cover by more than a touchdown. Better coaching in Utah. I like them to cover the number at 3.5. 383, 384, we have Colorado State and Air Force. Colorado State laying 6.5, total at 44.5. Now, Colorado State will be without wide receiver Torrey Horton, who is now out for the season, but we still like them here. Air Force have been dreadful, 1-5 straight up, 0-6 ATS. Meanwhile, Colorado State off an impressive performance and cover last time out versus San Jose State. The Rams have covered in 3 straight. I like them here to get it done again, especially below a touchdown. So that's where we're leaning. 385, 386. We have Wyoming, San Jose State. San Jose State laying -11. The total at 53. This is one of the only games on the board where my numbers actually match up exactly with market on both spread and total. There's literally nothing else I can add to this one. I made the line 11 and the total 53. So we're going to move on. 387, 388. We have Colorado and Arizona. Arizona laying 2.5 with the total sitting at 58. Arizona getting a little disrespected here after the blowout loss to BYU. I think that's the case. Final was misleading anyway. They were -3 in turnover differential and turnovers in the worst possible areas. Arizona rank higher in yard per play margin, and I show more value on them here, especially below a field goal. Arizona -2.5 will be the lean. Now 391, 392, we have NC State, California. California laying double digits, -10 with a total at 47. Key trends like NC State, as do I. Anytime you have a team who's 0-7 against the spread, you have to believe we're getting value. Now, in database history, teams that have failed to cover in 7 straight are covering a 55.2% clip, and this moves to almost 60% when pricing them as double-digit dogs. Too many believe that this is an easy beatdown game for California after the losing 3 straight, but often that is not the case. That's 3 straight tough games of California. Fatigue is a real thing. It's possible they don't have much motivation here, could be disinterested. NC State still 3 and 4 straight up, believe they can compete. Value on the dogs. Now 393, 394, SMU and Stanford. SMU laying 16.5 with a total sitting at 54. No doubt SMU are the far better team. They're off a bye. Stanford just 2 and 4 straight up and ATS. They have had a tough strength of schedule. Should be excited to be back home. SMU could absolutely cover this number, but look, you're not going to find me betting it. They've covered 3 straight, 4 of their last 5. Premium price tag attached there. The fact that this is below 17 also could be telling. I actually lean with Stanford here at plus 16.5. 395, 396, we have Ball State and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt laying -27, the total at 56.5. Now the question is, do we really think that Vandy would be laying this many points if they hadn't already had the 3 big wins as double-digit underdogs? Included the biggest of all, of course, against Alabama. I don't think so. This team are overvalued in market. I still believe that they're making... I still believe that they're making this team far too high in market. And even with my power rankings adjustments, I can't get to this number. This is a prime dead letdown spot. I lean with Ball State at plus 27. 397, 398, Houston, Kansas. Kansas -5.5 with a total at 46. Both teams well rested off the bye. Kansas are the better team. Houston have an awful offense, as we know. Back-to-back games this season with 0 points. That's just horrific, especially in the game versus Cincinnati. Oh, man. Now, they do have some momentum here after hanging a surprising 30 on TCU. Kansas have lost 5 straight after that opening game, win, but they were 50-point favorites in that against a nobody. I personally think Kansas gets back on track here, though. Can't trust Houston at all, regardless of their last game. -5.5 is a discounted price, in my opinion, based on record and ATS performance. Now, 399-400 LSU Arkansas, LSU laying 3 with a total of 57.5. Arkansas coming into this off a bye. They're the better team, in my opinion, versus an overvalued LSU team that have won 5 straight, including the last big win over Ole Miss. I don't have much narrative to add to this one, other than I believe this is a coin flip game and you're getting a field goal with Arkansas off a bye. Worth a shot and is where I lean. 401-402 game of the week, Georgia, Texas. Huge game. Everyone seems to love Texas that I've spoken to. It's one of the best Texas teams we've seen in a long time, but Georgia a rare market low after going 1-5 ATS on the season. Now this line opened with Texas at 3, kind of made that accurate, and it's now ballooned to 5. Starting to see some buyback on the side of UGA. I agree with it. The Horns are yet to stumble. Maybe it doesn't happen at all. However, history does tell us otherwise. I'm going to take the dog shot here on Georgia at +5. 403-404 Rice Tulane. Tulane laying 21.5, total at 53. One of the other games I don't have much to add. Have a bit of value on the over at 53, but it's too small, no narrative. My spread is 21.5, dead on. I doubt many of you really care about this game anyway, so let's move on. 405 Texas A&M, 406 Mississippi State. A&M laying 18, total at 56.5. My numbers are very close here, but I do still see a little value on Texas A&M fresh off the bye. They've won 5 straight, looked outstanding last time in the beatdown over Mizzou. Strength of schedule has been rough, and they keep getting the job done. This is a big price, which isn't a situation we've seen them in a lot this season, but still, value for me will be on Texas A&M at -18. 407-408 Florida Atlantic, UTSA. Now, UTSA laying 6.5 with a total at 52.5. UTSA opened as 4-point favorites, but the move up has come due to the uncertainty surrounding FAU's starting quarterback. He's dealing with some kind of toe injury. Would usually look at Florida Atlantic here, but they need Cam at quarterback to have any success. For that reason, I lean with UTSA even at 6.5 below that touchdown. 409-410 Auburn, Missouri. Now, Missouri -4 with a total at 50. Missouri opened 6 here. The pro money all over Auburn. I agree. They're 2-4 straight up, which is the reason for flying under the radar. But their strength of schedule has been quite rough. They have a solid yard per play margin on the season, and would be looking a lot better if not for their turnover issues. Turnovers has really been a problem for them. However, I will say turnovers are not linear as a predictive stat whatsoever. If they clean it up, they're in trouble for a lot of teams. They will be trouble for a lot of teams, sorry. Missouri 5-1, being overvalued. Give me Auburn here at +4, and I'll take a moneyline sprinkle as well. 411-412 Hawaii, Washington State. Washington State laying 18, the total at 55.5. Hawaii 2-4 straight up on the season, but not doing that bad when looking at the numbers. Defensively, they've been solid. 18 points is a lot based on that premise. They've managed to cover last week as 21-point underdogs. They covered as 13.5-point dogs earlier in the season versus UCLA. Both reasons for those covers was due to their defense. Washington State could destroy here, but I got to see it first. Hawaii value for me at 18. UNLV, Oregon State, 413-414. UNLV laying 6.5. Total here sitting at 59.5. Have some concerns about the UNLV defense, but they do fit a solid trend essentially, which is taking road teams who didn't cover in their previous game, now coming off a bye. We didn't like what we saw from Oregon State last week versus Nevada. Anything below a touchdown, small value for me on UNLV. 415-416 Iowa, Michigan State. Iowa laying -6. Total at 39. Trends like Iowa, my numbers like Michigan State. Just feels as though Iowa are drastically being overvalued at this point. 4-2 straight up, coming off the blowout win over Washington. However, in hindsight, it was a bad matchup for Washington. I do lean Michigan State here at +6 in what should be a very close game. 417-418 Arkansas State, Southern Miss. Now, Arkansas laying 6.5, the total at 56. The money's been on Southern Miss. I agree. My whole thing betting when it comes to sports is looking to fade overvalued teams. Arkansas State, in my opinion, are just that. They are 3-3 straight up, but they're an awful -2 in yards per play margin on the season. Hard to maintain a 500 or better record with that. Southern Miss 1-5, but they've not had the easiest ride. Value on them here at +7, which some recreational shops have. Now the final game here, 419 Nebraska, 420 Indiana. Indiana laying 6.5, total at 49. I lean Nebraska here. Almost made it a premium play, just below the touchdown, made that tough. Indiana undefeated on the season, 5-1 ATS. Nebraska 5-1 straight up and 4-1 ATS. Look, the Indiana offense is legit, but Nebraska do a lot of good stuff on the defensive end to cause issues. And despite the offense of Indiana, this is a step up in competition when it comes to opponents' defensive talent. They haven't been tested in that regard, and until we see it otherwise, it's going to be a soft fade for me, so I lean with Nebraska at +6.5. There we go, guys. We got through them. I hope you found it interesting. And of course, if you did, please give a thumbs up, your comments down below. I'm going to do more of these if you want these full game rundowns as to my thoughts on all games. Remember, premium selections at docsports.com. I have a 7-unit NFL play going on Sunday. I'm 7-0 on my last 7 big plays, hitting 75% this NFL season on sides too, including the 6-unit winner Thursday Night Football. Thank you guys for watching this video. This is August Young at docsports.com, and I hope to see you guys at the betting window. Catch you next time.